There are many realities in the universe, some of them quite harsh. But one reality that is inescapable is that there is nothing more valuable than a friend. More than food, more than shelter, and more than weaponry, an ally can save your life. Especially when fighting an enemy as despicable as the Trade Federation. The Trade Federation has pressed on, despite their losses. Polaris Prime must be a rich world indeed. You have one thing the Trade Federation does not: allies. They have great resources and large armies, but an ally is valuable beyond measure. I'll show you how to find and interact with allies. Put your workers to work while I explain. First things first, have your workers build a spaceport. With a spaceport, you can trade with your allies. You can also buy and sell things from off-world brokers. Shorin has set up another camp a short distance from here. If you click the diplomacy button on the lower right corner of your screen, you can see Shorin listed as an ally and the friendless Trade Federation listed as an enemy. The choices you make on this screen determine whether your troops will fire on the units of another faction or help them out. A very useful upgrade available at your spaceport is the HoloNet transceiver. Start researching it now. The HoloNet transceiver lets you see whatever your allies see. This opens up areas of the map that you'd otherwise have to explore yourself. Now that we know where Shorin is, we can start trading with him. Select your spaceport and build a cargo hovership. Now, select your new cargo hovership and right-click on Shorin's spaceport to send your hovership there. You'll have to scroll across the map to find Shorin's spaceport. It looks just like your spaceport, but it's a slightly different color. The Allies' gate will open up when you get near it. I'll tell you more about gates later on. Your cargo hovership will keep traveling back and forth to your ally spaceport. On every return trip, some Nova crystals will be added to your stockpiles. You can send multiple cargo hoverships on any given trade route. Shorin tells me he found something of interest near his camp. A Jedi holocron. A holocron is a priceless repository of ancient information that should not be left lying in the wilderness. We need to build a Jedi temple to house the holocron. The Jedi Council has just granted us approval to build a Jedi temple on Alaris Prime. Have your workers build a Jedi temple now. Now, select the Jedi Temple and click Create Padawan. This is my Padawan apprentice, Obi-Wan
Master?
Kenobi. He still has much to learn about the ways of a Jedi Knight. He can, however, retrieve a holocron. Send your Padawan to Shorin's camp to grab the holocron.
Leave it to me.
Good. Now send. Wait. Shorin has spotted an excursion of Trade Federation troops. Garrison your workers and ready your fighting Wookiees. Now send your Padawan back with the holocron. Select your Padawan and right-click on the holocron
That path
to
is
pick it
clear,
up.
Master.
Build several more military units too. We'll need them for future attacks. Shorin has asked for some Nova crystals to help him recover from the Trade Federation attack. He warned us of the attack. It's the least we can do. Open the diplomacy menu again, using the button on the lower right-hand corner. Then click on the Nova Crystal button to tribute 100 Nova crystals to Shorin. Shorin thanks you. He's tributing us some spare metal in return. Excellent work, my friend.
I humbly obey.
Great work. We will directly benefit from the holocron's secrets. It slowly adds Nova crystals to your stockpile. Shorin scouts have discovered an array of Trade Federation listening posts. They are wary of us, keeping tabs on our progress. Chewbacca suggests we show them our progress by destroying their listening array. Another day again. Chewbacca's strategies are bearing fruit. I sense a war coming.